Hey everyone, it's Cody. It's just me today, on my own, speaking into the abyss as Jake Gum is currently away editing a feature right now, and Monica is producing Cry's latest commercial, as well as preparing to go on hiatus to produce a feature for a few months. At Cry, we value creative opportunities, so whenever someone has one, we do whatever we can to make it work. So it's just me, just like old times, playing whatever music I want. But I'm genuinely excited to share this discussion with Brian Siedband and Gordy saying Quality Meets With You. This, to me, was a bit of a masterclass light on how to approach your business because I loved hearing what these guys had to say. There are a handful of tangible takeaways that I look forward to implementing when it comes to how we do business or how we approach clients. So I'll probably take this episode back to the team at Cry and say, hey, everyone, listen, check out how Quality Meats does things, and let's just try that for a while. I was smitten pretty quickly when I saw their name and checked out their website because they have a style and their work is entertaining. But after talking to these guys and hearing about how they operate, I really like what they're about. Quality Meats is no stranger to being on the Ad Age Agency of the Year list, as they've made it for several years now, and they have a handsome client roster, including Samsung, Huggies, Regal Cinemas, DoorDash, and more. So I won't dive further into describing the discussion you're about to hear, but I really do love their approach. Their work is fun. If you check it out, you'll notice a refreshing and, in my opinion, kind of a straightforward authenticity to their humor and narratives. So I highly recommend you go to their website, Instagram, LinkedIn, and check out their body of work. But I'll let them do the talking now. So without further ado, Brian and Gordy of Quality Meats.
A garden of pure ideology.
Yeah, just your typical Super Bowl car ad.
Or a hilarious beer ad.
Break was over 15 minutes ago, Mitch!
I think you're the best ever.
Look down, back up. Where are you?
You're in the bush.
Well, how am I supposed to know? I've never been there.
I don't always drink beer, but when I do...
I think we're going to be here a while.
All right, so Brian, if you could introduce yourself, and then Gordy, if you could introduce yourself so that people know who's who when you guys are talking.
I'm Brian, and just so you know, and everyone, Gordy has more of a higher pitched, nasally type voice. Mine's it's high pitched, but it's more, I don't know, throat chesty.
Tad more effeminate. I'm just more the nasally, Chicago-y. It sounds like I'm nagging you at all times.
Yeah, I get that. Well, I'm going to share why. Like I said, I will have already have introduced you guys and bragged on you a bit, but so that you can hear it, I loved having to do a double take at your company name. I assume that was the intent, but when I first saw it, I was like, there must be a mistake. This is a meat company. And then a few seconds later, I was thoroughly enjoying myself. And I don't know if you guys mean to be irreverent or if that's what you like to call it, but I love that stuff. So as soon as I started to see some of your branding, I was pretty excited to talk to you. You made 2024 Ad Age Small Agency of the Year, correct?
Yes.
So that means you're 4 years in and you've already made that list. So three and a half?
Three years. No, but that's our third year in a row making that list. Actually.
Right. Oh my gosh. So you made it right away too?
I guess it was like year 2 we made it the first time.
Gosh, get it together. What were you guys doing year one?
We've taken some baby steps as far as which one, because it's hard to say, small agency of the year. Like a lot of people can claim that because they give it to a lot of people. There's different tiers of it.
Well, that makes my question even better, because actually what I was going to ask is, what was that like? And I do want to go back. I want to hear about how you guys started, why you team up, why you work together. But I'm also excited to get to the point where you started hitting that so quickly. So if we could go back to somewhat the beginning, why are you guys a team? Why do you work together?
It's a good question. I hate him. We've been partners for 17 years now, creative partners. And we started at the bigger traditional agency. We're both from Chicago-ish suburbs and such, and worked at FCB Chicago, and we paired up there. And at first we were in some ways competing creatives. We were separate, worked under the same creative directors who helped take us under their wing. And then it slightly organically like merged us together. And then once we clicked, we hit the ground running and then remained partners for 17 years. FCB went to LA, to Deutsch, LA, back to Chicago, Leo Burnett, then freelance, and then started this thing. And so we're connected at this point. It's a marriage for sure.
Did you guys stay connected the whole time?
Yeah. Ever since that, like he said, that first time we paired up off on our own, even independent of the team that kind of put us together, which is like things clicked and we just started selling a lot of work and consistently doing that. And there were moments at some of the agencies where they tried for different reasons to separate us or split us up a little bit. And there were times where on certain accounts, it's, oh, Gordy's handling this and I'm handling that. And it just made our lives a little more hellish to do it that way. So we've always found that it's easier for us to do it together, and just the efficiency and the output is like exponentially better than not that we couldn't do it, like we could do it separately. But there was always not just a comfort, but like an efficiency and a productivity that made it always better to stay a team. So we fought off being separated. Yeah. And just continued to work together.
There's been times, like obviously even just life-wise, where we moved to LA. We moved our respective families to LA and then back to Chicago. We've uprooted our families' lives multiple times.
Yeah.
With each other, like with considering each other in as part of it, as part of the equation, which is crazy. You know?
Yeah. I don't mean to get too deep too soon, but I would imagine there's a cool level of trust there to make those such big investments in each other and other people. I before I even go that deep, it's no secret you're in a creative industry, and you've probably seen, even more so than me, meetings where there are batches of creatives at the table, and you watch the Lord of the Flies process to see if there's not a set in stone hierarchy of who's going to grab the wheel or who's going to get control of something. So even hearing that two people can work together for as well and as long as you guys have through different companies, it speaks to it. I mean, it sounds too corny right away bragging on you, but it sounds nice. Clearly there was some nice balance of a lack of ego and a trust and just companionship to be able to do that, because creatives can be funny and quirky.
Yeah, we've learned that there's always learning, and there's times where we butt heads or whatever, but it's healthy. Our marriage, I'll call it that, is probably healthier than our respective real life marriages. And then that's my wife's going to murder me for hearing that. But we do spend a lot of time all day, every day with each other. And then even if in a social atmosphere, we're like, oh, we're excited to see each other. And my wife's like, how can you be like, you see him all the time? Like, it doesn't make sense. It's almost unhealthy how healthy our relationship is in ways.
I get that. Actually, I feel that way sometimes too, because it's funny. You want to play it dangerous. My boss, I mean, he kind of knows it. I didn't know if it was going to work out like the first 6 months, because we were just locking horns all the time. And through that, we developed a communication system where now I'll go to a family function or something and someone will be talking. I'm like, gosh, I wish they just would talk like Justin and I do, so that we could get through this and use these communication techniques. And sometimes it's funny. Like there's a book we use called The Six Thinking Hats. I don't know if you've heard of that. It's a business book from the 80s. Have either of you heard of that?
I don't think so.
Not.
You compartmentalize what you're talking about and why. It'll be like, hey, red hat, this is just gut reactions here. Just my gut reaction. Black hat, this is bad. I'm talking about the negatives right now. And when or green, a creative ideas. Yellow, good. White, this is just data. Blue, what do we do next? It sounds really nerdy and maybe a little obnoxious at first. But once you introduce categorizing things, like it's actually nice to put things in boxes, because then you go talk to other people and they start saying something and maybe you think, so is this like your opinion? Is this a critique? Is this good? What are you trying to say to me right now? So I think I get what you're saying, where maybe at first you butt heads and then you actually look forward to resolving issues with each other.
It's like a shorthand that we've developed over time where we could think in similar ways, but we still are different enough that we add value to each other.
Yeah.
It's a reciprocal kind of thing where it's like we challenge each other and push each other in different ways. That's the process that we trust, that we know that combination of things will always lead to the best outcome.
Is it a kind of like a puzzle piece where one of you does brings a certain contribution and the other does something different? Or are you driving next to each other in tandem, doing the same stuff and passing back and forth?
Probably more so driving next to each other-ish in tandem, but still maybe a little bit of both. Gordy's, especially since we've started our own company, he's slightly maniacal about outreach and hustling and that sort of thing, and has absolutely zero shame, whereas I'm a very shameful person and do have a little bit of, it's not my person. I'm a little bit less forthcoming as a like personality wise. So it goes against my instincts. It goes against his instincts, but it's also part of his personality to just fucking throw shit out there in a good way.
No filter.
In a way that has really helped our company get off the ground. So like we both bring certain things to the table and are doing different things at the same time, but we're also there together watching it all happen, driving it together.
Yeah. Well, if I can do a case study with you, and I'm going to bounce all over the place a little bit, so we're not exactly going in chronological order from birth to death here. But one of my favorite spots that I saw of yours is your Regal Cinemas campaign. That looked pretty fun. But I was going to ask, can you share just the whole thing, like what it's like from the process of starting those discussions to between Brian and Gordy, who does what throughout that, all the way to the finish? And I know that's a big kind of broad thing. It's like, oh my gosh, what do you want me to do? Like talk about every email? There's no wrong answer, but it's a good time. It was really funny. Obviously being a movie lover, I assume you guys like movies to some degree. That's the type of client, whether you guys went out and got that one or if they came to you. I saw that and I was like, that looks like an awesome campaign to work on. That does not look like trying to make construction, concrete, salt, emotional or funny or sexy or something. Like that looks like they had fun. So I would love to hear see an example of how you guys work together through hearing about that campaign, if you can share that one.
Yeah. I feel like I'm about to tell like an insanely long-winded story here.
No wrong answer.
It's close to our hearts because we do love film and movies and such and stuff like that. And even just, it's weird that you brought this up because it was on my brain today, how I want to do more for them, but they've been slowing down as far as execution stuff.
Well, admittedly, if I could insert a quick note here, this is a wild time. I mean, I was just listening to Mike Flanagan has a new podcast, the director, if you guys have heard of him. It's very good. But I mean, even they were just talking. When you hear people of all calibers talking about how things are getting a little scary, that's another reason that I ask about the Regal campaign. Admittedly, it's very timely to say go to the movies because, and I can't say it any better than Mike Flanagan and his guest said it. He said, I've never actually seen movie theaters threatened for real the way they are now. Yeah. And just the industry, how it works as a whole. So yes, I'm going to turn it back over to you, but I wanted to be transparent and say when I saw that, I was like, oh, this is a juicy one. And I just liked it. And it was funny. But yes, and back to you.
To that point, that's part of the reason it wasn't totally clear if they did ultimately come to us for an RFP, but we were hunting movie theaters and we had outreach to them specifically. Okay. And there may have been just even subliminal like that they saw our name or whatever and thought of us for this next project or whatever it might be. But we had been hunting movie theaters because it wasn't this thing that we stumbled onto, but it was just a thing that we probably just talked about, similar to the way you talk about things, just like seeing movies at the movie theater. It's just, that's the way a movie should be watched. And now, like, the way we're watching movies at home on streaming, sure, it's great to have that access and stuff like that, but we're ruining the vision that these directors and the way the craft that's been put into it because we're watching it on 4-inch screens with Walgreens headphones on an airplane watching Dunkirk like that. And it's just Brian did that, I think. And it may have even stemmed from that conversation of him watching that. It's just like bastardizing movies. Or I'm at home, even if it's a movie that I like or whatever, I still like pathetically will pick up my phone and scroll social media, or there's something, grab a snack, a microwave, or whatever the hell it might be. There's the distraction versus where, for example, I went to see Everything Everywhere All at Once with my wife, and we went to the movie theater and saw that, and I just feasted upon that movie. It was amazing, and you're in the theater, and it's the experience. Where had we put that on at home, she would have been like, I'm out, like 17 minutes into it or something like that. Where she had to stay on the ride and enjoyed it at the end. You know what I mean? And it feels like movie theaters in general out there, the commercials that they do, even the AMC stuff, is just like celebrating how great the theater is and the popcorn and the smells and this and that, where nobody's really pointed. And then I think streaming is self-aware of them being an enemy. They put their own streaming movies in theaters because that's the best way to experience it. But nobody's really taken aim at, we're taking away from movies and pointed at the problem more so than being like, look how great our beautiful chairs and Dolby Atmos surround sound is, versus like the way you're doing it now is ruining it. So go do it the right way. That's the origin of the idea. It took a couple rounds with them to get to something until we finally sold something, and they wanted to push the idea of the FOMO, and it happened to line up with Oppenheimer and Barbie season, which was a good timing for that campaign to launch.
So it sounds, I'm assuming from what you said, it sounds like there was just opportunity for promotion, and you guys came with the idea of preserving the theater with the angle of FOMO.
Yeah, I mean, there was a little bit of two things coming together, which was we were holding on to this thought of really making people question that they're doing it wrong and realize really that I'm really not doing this right. And during the summer, the brief that they ended up giving us was like they wanted to focus on missing out a bit on what the conversation was around the big movies. And so I think we landed in the perfect space there that did both of those. Not waiting for the movies to come to you, bringing that to life through someone being guilted for missing out on not getting the proper experience while everyone else is.
Yeah, I felt like you did that, especially with the zombie one and the alien one, more so the missing out. I like the action star one too. I liked all three of the ones that I saw. Were there more than the three? I assume you guys had a mountain of ideas that you came to the table with.
Yeah, it was just those three that were executed. We had a full other campaign that like taps into this strategy even more, and I still want to scratch that itch and get that out in the world and figure out how to do that. But those were the three for that, and that was star alignment. Regal Theaters has been through some leadership changes. I don't know if you're privy to that, some of that stuff, and they went through like a bankruptcy and some shenanigans and such, but I think they're coming out the other end, and there was just an opportunity to strike that lined up. And we also had, coincidentally, a production company who we were speaking with was trying to build up Andy Richter, the Conan sidekick, is directing Real a bit, and had been talking to us to think of, is there any even spec work that we could shoot? And then we're like, no, let's not do spec. We might have a client who might bite on an idea if we have it, and then us even bringing Andy Richter to the table helped push them over the line to actually go forward and make it as well.
Okay. Where did you guys film those?
Naperville, Illinois.
Yeah.
Okay. So you brought them to you?
Yes. And Andy, coincidentally, grew up in Naperville.
Yeah.
Oh, didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow, that's cool. Well, so I'll probably come back to your process. So you made the ad age list several times. Can you talk to me about the moment you first made it, at least? I know you're familiar enough with the industry because I know how you talked about it. Did it at least feel, okay, it's working? The thing that we just started is working. What was the moment that you guys felt like you're like, okay, we're really in the arena? This isn't just a thing that we're starting up during the pandemic like a lot of people did. This is serious. Can you just tell me when you felt the turn, like it's working, and what that felt like and how it maybe changed your process? Because I think I saw you guys had a lot of new hires recently too, didn't you?
Yeah.
So you are growing.
Yes. It's a steady kind of growth over the last, since the beginning. But at the beginning, it was really Gordy and I and our producer partner, Casey, the three of us just working on things ourselves and bringing on some freelance pals here and there and going project to project. And it started out really small. It started with a hot dog stand in Chicago was our first project. Things got bigger gradually. That got some visibility, which led to being asked to pitch the local regional sports network of the Cubs in Chicago. At the time we were both in Chicago. Led to more and more things. Clients got bigger. Our projects were getting bigger. The Ad Age win was, for me, was probably the first time where it was like, wow, it's a really big deal to get recognition for, and it still is. Like, I think all of those accolades, whatever, and acknowledgement have just put us on in bigger, each time has put us in a bigger conversation with clients than we've been in before.
It sounds like you're saying they respect it.
Yeah, which was validating for us. That
it gave us, it was like that first win was like, that was like a badge of, we're legit in a way. You know what I mean?
It does seem that way. It's if I had to pick a badge, I would assume that that's the badge.
Yeah.
Is the Ad Age list.
Right. Part of it is because what we've built, it was like from when we started was like, we don't have a physical space. We're in the cloud. We have we're completely virtual remote. So we're like, it feels like we're a facade of an agency. It's still to this day, I'm like, we're an agency. We're just like, well, look, logo, we're a website, we're an advertising agency. But then once that happened, I was like, okay, we're semi-legit. Like people could, like, you could put that on things and they're like, oh, okay, they were mentioned in that publication and they were respected amongst the community and all that stuff. And that really helped solidify it for us mentally. Although I still continue to feel like we don't know what we're doing and what, but one has helped further solidify it in some ways.
Well, you mentioned your family, if you don't mind my asking. I assume you didn't just up and say, let's make an agency out of nowhere. I assume you guys had mentioned it in the years past leading up to this. Was that a accurate assumption or close?
It wasn't something we had talked about throughout our careers at all. Like we had been company guys, like each agency we were at for around 5 years, and we're like hesitant to leave even just because it was like, felt some sort of loyalty to the company for some reason, even though no like real personal attachment. But and then when we went freelance in, what was it, 2019, that was like a scary thing because we had never gone freelance. For me, especially, we had never gone freelance. We had always had that steady paycheck. So that was like, what's it going to happen? Is the work going to be consistent? And then we started doing that. And it thankfully for us and thankfully for the I guess the time and the economy and whatnot, it was pretty consistent. And it was liberating in the sense that, we could just go to sleep and not worry too much about the work like the people at the agencies were. But on the flip side, it was like, we're not getting to make the things as much, and we're not getting to be in the meetings and in the room and really the whole other aspect of the job and the business that like we like to do that comes with, and then the crafting and the shaping of the work all the way through that we were just missing.
I'd love to give details to it. When you say missing all the way through, meaning from conception to pitching to brainstorming all the way through to the final edit and delivery. Is that what you mean when you say all the way through?
Yeah.
That was the main thing. Like literally, of course, yes, not being able to decide what goes in the room, not ideal. And having the conversations with the clients and selling a piece of work of why and where the thinking came from. But even for one step further, we were glorified ghostwriters in some ways. We may have gotten there. This was early stage of freelance. I think we would have gotten there, but some freelancers are used in that way where thanks for the work. Good. We'll take it from here and go execute it. And that's
Mm-hmm.
the fun part, is making it, going to film it, picking out the director, the actors, the scenes, the art direction, all the nuance that comes along with the craft. And we were missing that. And so like in 2019, the idea kind of stemmed from that a little bit. It was just us and then our friend who was a producer from our previous Taco Bell and at Deutsch. We were just like brainstorming, how can we do something where we like act similar to the production company, where it's like the core of us. We find some interesting projects or clients where we could just make things, and maybe we'll make some money on top of that and do the production and make them money on that side of things too. But more or less, just let's just go make things with alongside good people and make the work that we like to make. And that was the idea in 2019. And then pandemic hit, and that kind of forced the hand, because freelance just hard stop, dried up, and we had nothing to do. So we're like, well, let's just put up a little logo here, a website, and start. And we didn't have a client or anything. And the opportunity with Wiener Circle, which is a local hot dog stand, I don't know if you're familiar with, in Chicago.
No, I'm not.
Like the whole premise is it's a small old school hot dog place where you shout obscenities to them and they shout obscenities back at you. And that's
awesome.
That's the whole concept. You more or less, people just go like drunk and then just like yell at each other and eat hot dogs and fries with cheese.
It's a really good hot dog. It is like the best hot dog in Chicago.
Yeah, it is
excellent. It's very good.
And they just wanted to make a piece of content because they couldn't open their restaurant. It's 200 square foot restaurant. They couldn't do it. And they just wanted to stay relevant and let's just make a funny piece of content to put out there and whatever, keep people aware of us or whatever, just to mess around. And us being like ad businessy nerd people were like, well, why don't we do something that actually moves the needle for your business? So we convinced them to do FaceTime abuse and curbside abuse. So you could FaceTime them and cuss them out, or pick up from TikTok or whatever curbside and cuss them out at the same time.
Yeah.
And they were like, okay. And then we made a video around that. And during that time, it was all saccharine in these uncertain times, all that kind of stuff going on. And
oh yeah,
so everybody was just like
that. You've seen the Super Cup, the all the commercials, right? Like just everybody was in these turbulent times of uncertainty.
Yeah, and nobody was taking this, and this was an opportunity for us to more or less do a send up of that, where it starts out that way and then it breaks because people wanted that human connection to curse each other out on FaceTime. And then it was a funny thing that kind of went a little bit viral, and it was just a fun thing to come out of the gates. That was our first thing as our agency, was this kind of small hot dog scrappy thing that got millions of eyeballs for $0.
Yeah.
So
pretty starting point.
Right.
Then.
Yeah.
That must have been validating, especially for your families, I would assume.
I mean, it wasn't
as you were starting this new venture.
It wasn't a financial starting point, but it was a creative starting point where it was like, okay, what we did feels very authentic to Wiener Circle, and it acknowledged the truth of why you want to go there and that experience that you miss and what you love about it. And it was fun to make and funny, and I still enjoy watching it. There's profanity in it, which is also fun and dumb, but setting the bar in terms of like work that, in that case, it's a little provocative, but it's also very authentic to what the brand is, that actually broke through. And it was like, for that to be the first thing, I think was nice. It's like, it put our name out there for the first time. And then to be associated with that was like, oh, maybe other clients want more things like this that's right for them. That's the kind of bar we've tried to maintain every step of the way, is doing work, doing what we think is like authentic and natural to whatever the brand is, and self-aware in that sense, but then engineered to have breakthrough in some way, not necessarily provocative like that.
Do you try to pursue clients? One of the reasons I liked what Gordy was saying earlier, because he said, well, I was already pursuing movie theaters. So, which I liked hearing that, because I was like, oh, okay, so you're already going after the types of client that you want. You're not just going after a client. You're like, well, I'm in the mood to do something for movie theaters, so I'm going to cast this line in this pond and see what catches. If you could, and I know it's a little abstract, I mean, imagine you're giving a short seminar to a 25 person student body or something. I would love to hear, because there's a consistency now between some of the stuff you guys have said about doing things that are authentic, that you're excited about, that you're already interested in. I would love to just hear what your thought process, and I don't know if you need a scenario, I would say, okay, this job's done, need new client. Where do you guys start on that now when it's time? Because you said something about Gordy being the one who's making the calls or something, or doing reach outs initially.
We all do. Gordy's just obsessively maniacal about it, but
I assume that's a good thing.
Yeah,
it's for business.
Yes.
It's great. I feel gross doing it.
Yeah.
But I have.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. I'm sorry to interject again, but that to be frank, this is the stuff. Since we got to play the podcast game for a second, we do occasionally get people who reach out and go, "Hey, I'm glad that you asked them to say how they do this thing, because I was scared to do that. Or I thought that was gross, so I thought you shouldn't do that. So I just emailed somebody and I never called them." So I would love to hear, and I know you maybe can't give all the truth, but like if you're willing to share how the sausage is made a little bit, would like to hear how the quality meets. There we go.
Yeah, it's nice fun. Yeah, there's no formula to it, but I did have everyone cares about themselves. They're focused on themselves at the time. So the shame that I'll throw darts reaching out to people, someone who I've worked with 15 years ago, that's a good start, is people that you had a decent shorthand with in different places, and just getting conversations started. Again, I felt like initially I was like, I feel a little icky being like, because we get hit up with by production vendors and stuff like that, and I ignore. But if it's somebody that you know or knew and had a decent relationship with, they'll be happy to hear from you. And even if they're not, or if they're busy and they don't have time for it, it's not like they're like, ugh, I hate it. I can't believe you did that. Pathetic. No, you're just like, man, I don't have time for it right now. I'm moving on to my thing. Nobody really cares. But if the timing did align, they'd be like, oh, that's good. Yeah, actually, let's chat. Like it can hit. And I'd say it is a numbers game in that sense. It's a 98.4% of any outreach that I do is probably ghosted, in some cases. So yeah, it is a bit just like putting yourself in their shoes and then just being self-aware of it and not trying to sound like a robot when you talk to people. And if you do have the movie theater, if there is personal connection to you in some fashion and you have an angle that you can help articulate, then that's enlightening, and that's more likely to get a conversation going.
Would you say you go in with that, like, hey, Regal, so this Nicole Kidman commercial that everyone's making fun of, it's fine, but I actually think there's a different angle that can be touched on. I'd love to share it with you. Or do you start going into details?
Sometimes we do. When we have that, we don't always have that firm of a thing, but we do.
Right.
Yeah, sometimes we try to do that. It's very helpful when you do have that, for sure. But usually sometimes it's just like how that whatever that product, like if I like it or something like that. If it's like a cookie brand, I'm like, I like cookies. So I'm just going to tell you why and how I like cookies. Even if it's not, hey, I'd love to talk to you about your marketing or whatever. It's just me saying how much I like cookies, specifically the ones with that are like have a crunch but are like softer on the inside, not too soft. And I'll just go say that and just be like, they're probably like, as a weirdo, but okay, hey.
Yeah.
I try to remind myself too that it's really helpful to them, to potential clients, to have the people to call when the time is right. It's a similar thing when creatives reach out to us with, sending us their portfolios or whatever, or inquiring about opportunities with us. It's like, when the timing is right, that's huge. Thank you for reaching out. Like, I need your help now. And reminding ourselves that, we've done work that's really helped our clients. And it's super helpful at the right time to have someone to go to. So that's the mentality that I try to put in my head when I reach out of, okay, I don't have to feel annoying about this because this could be really beneficial for them.
It sounds like, and I'm going to try to hopefully not overinterpret here, it's still good to maybe say, hey, I like you guys. This is what we're good at. I know now might not be the time, but wanted to make you aware of us for when you are ready.
Totally.
So it sounds like it's still what maybe a lot of, I would say up and comers, because you don't always have to be young to be an up and comer, but a lot of, like, you know, we're a production company and we get a lot of these generic reach outs too. And it'll just be like, I'm a this, but I don't know what you do, why you do it, or what you're good at specifically. It sounds like you've said when you reach out to the types of clients you want to work with, you're already reaching out to people you're already interested in, which I would assume makes you that much more creative because you already have an interest in it. But also for people reaching out to you, they need to stand out, but in a useful way to where you can go, you know what, like we have this other thing coming. And I remember this. And again, I'm really trying to bridge the gap here. I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but I'm trying to interpret it for an up and comer who's trying to just sponge up wisdom from you.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe, and my answer might not be the answer, but it's more or less, it's just, getting on people's radars, creating conversation. It doesn't hurt ever, whether that seed is planted for something immediately or something 4.5 years from now. It's just like, being out there and on the radar a bit. There's people that have reached out to like us from creatives or whatever that you forget. But then if they say, oh, they'll ping you back in the email or whatever, and then like, oh, a project came up and they just happened to hit us up at the right time. Timing is everything.
Mm-hmm.
So much luck in timing with a lot
Yeah.
And I think,
and you'd say you've had that experience too from the client end?
Probably.
Yeah.
For sure.
If we hit up a client at the time that they're like SAXX underwear for our brands, we were shopping out this one idea that was not underwear related specifically, and we were reach out to them about this idea, and they were like, "Oh, that's very interesting." They entertained it for a minute. They're like, "Okay, we're not doing that, but we do happen to have a RFP for our North American business going on right now." Okay, and so it was just like pure coincidence and luck in that sense.
Yeah. Have you guys ever tried anything to get a client that you thought maybe was really ballsy or maybe made you feel kind of strange or like, oh, I'm trying too hard here, and then had a notable experience with that at all? Like maybe you sent a weird gift or tried something that you might have a story from?
If it would be this example where it was like what we were reaching out for to a variety of different brands, because it wasn't conceived for an underwear brand. The idea, which was it was around actually the vaccine, trying to get guys vaccinated back, whatever, in 2022, I don't know, 2021,
22,
when it was like there was like Delta wave or something. I remember it was the fall, and there was a big push to try to get people vaccinated, but half of the country or whatever just wasn't doing it. And we had an angle around that we found where it was like guys who haven't been vaccinated and get COVID are more prone to developing erectile dysfunction. And so we thought, oh, if you can get that message out there to guys and just focus on that in a fun way, that could maybe be a strong.
And so we were looking for different organizations or brands, and Brian's SAXX, who openly talk, like there's the ballpark pouch, and they openly talk about balls because that's just what they do. And so we floated this concept out, and the whole concept, and we ended up making it. I don't know if you've seen it, the Save the Future Boners concept.
I did.
Okay,
I did,
and it was with Tim Meadows and whatever. But so we had this concept, and we were trying to attach it to a brand, and it made sense for them in some cases, and doing some charitable thing and raising awareness, all that. And they were entertained, but I think like most brands out there and most organizations, it was a little toothy for them to touch and anyone to dabble with. But it led to us getting the conversation to get into the RFP. And then after that, we still were bullheaded about that idea. Still couldn't find any organization or brand to do it. we made up our own organization, which is Urologists United for Vaccination Education.
Oh, that's funny.
And so what we did was found the urologists who uncovered this data, as well as some other urologists on social media who have a following or whatever, and floated this thought to them, this concept. And they were like, oh my God, I love that. And we're like, what if we create, and they helped us organize, we got 15 urologists to join this semi-fictional organization to say, yeah, we'll put our names and faces behind this, because that then legitimizes this campaign of saving the future boners. And then they got behind that. We put the video out. We somehow got Tim Meadows involved, got real urologists within the video. It went, again, somewhat viral based on the $0 media. And then we got, I think, like up to 50 urologists have since joined this organization.
I assume that's when work gets a little fun, when you're working late and it's like, honey, please, I need another hour to keep making my fake urology company.
Correct.
And I'm talking to urologists right now. Okay. Advertising needs me. There's no client yet, but I'm busy.
1,000%.
Late dinner for me tonight.
It's really dumb when it's something that's, again, I think that's our happy place, is where, because it's a smart idea, but it's really dumb. So it's like that middle ground between smart and dumb is our zen.
Well, you guys are in a cool spot from my perspective, but what does up look like for quality meats, if you don't mind me referring to you that way? In fact, I've got to actually, before I even do that, why quality meats? Because I wanted to ask that at first. I accidentally glossed over it. Is that a quality meats poster behind you with a nice frame?
Oh, it is. Yeah. Look at that.
Nice.
Yeah, look at that. Naming an agency is really hard.
Yeah.
It's not an easy task. We went through and probably overthought it.
I'm glad you said that, and a lot of other people would be glad you said that too, though. Because I've heard some people go, nobody cares. And then I've also heard people go, yeah, it's important. Take your time. Figure it out.
Or just, there's a bit of coming up with I guess even like a purpose and a point of view along with the name, instead of just the name. Because if it's your name, it's like something you want to stand behind a little bit. So it was a bit of an exhausting exercise. This wasn't our first name idea, actually. Our first one was a bunch of nobodies. We didn't run with that. Mm-hmm. But it seemed, we liked it just because so many agencies traditionally are like named after the people, but we would never want to put our own names up like that. Mm-hmm. And we like the idea of thinking ourselves that way. But for some reason, it seemed to get polarizing reactions when we told people about it. Or there seemed to be a fear of, it doesn't seem very credible.
Which is
CMO.
100% true. Which is part of the reason we liked it. We like the idea of a CFO being like, who are we giving the business to? Oh, a bunch of nobodies. We like that thought.
Yeah. But it's working, though, right? It is working. Oh, yeah.
We're happy with this. I think this name embodies what we are, which is
more so
a bit of that kind of Midwestern sensibility. Roll up your sleeves, do whatever it takes to get the job done. There's like a bluntness to it that we is part of who we are and how we operate. And then it was a metaphor really for the butcher that you can trust to give you the best piece of meat, but trim the fat, only giving you really the high quality stuff that you need and not any of the extra parts.
I feel like a dunce because I didn't see that. That's really good.
It's cutting through the layers of fat and the unnecessary parts and all the bullshit, basically, and getting more, selling more of it. Again, going to a butcher you can trust, where you can just walk out. Okay, I'm going to go to them and I'm going to walk out happy, like with a good piece of meat.
It's interesting hearing your description of it, because for me, as soon as I saw your email signatures, it was like Inception, and I thought, oh yeah, those are my buddies. We're going to have a nice time. Just because of the branding. And I assume it's really clever, in my opinion. I know I'm not trying to overhype it or put you on the spot in a weird way and keep like shining a light on you, but it is fun. I think it's very effective. I think it's cool. And right away, it seems, I guess Gen Z would call it a vibe. I'm trying to keep up.
That's good. Yeah, no. Yeah, it's a conversation starter. And I think more than anything, we live up to it-ish. You know what I mean? Has that roll up your sleevedness, cuts through, there's the overly transparent Midwestern vibe, just what you see is what you get kind of thing.
Yeah. I did see that you guys talk about being honest a few times. And I wanted to ask about that because you touch on that a few times in your copy and your branding and stuff. Why did you guys pick that?
Well, it's who we are as humans. We're both oversharers. We both can't help but say what's on our minds, not in a bad way. We don't insult people, but throughout our careers, like in meetings and in creative departments with clients and that sort of thing, we always couldn't help but give our take, which in the bigger agencies probably had the head account people looking like, why are they saying this? What are they doing right now? That was more frowned upon. But it's how we've operated always, and it's led to us always making the best work and getting our opinions across, or at least having conversations about that. I think we always try to be reasonable. So that's where it first starts. But then the kind of work that we do, I think throughout our career, it's always been honest to whatever the brand is or the product or the service, in terms of it's not trying to pull the wool over people's eyes or pretend something is what it's not.
Yeah.
Understanding exactly how it fits into people's lives and what their perceptions of it are, and embracing that, because you can't change the perception without acknowledging what the current perception is. Otherwise it feels like people sniff bullshit. They don't buy that. We don't buy that. And that's not the kind of work that we like and spark to, or that grabs us. Whereas it's refreshing when it seems like a brand understands itself. So that's always at the center of what we do. And strategically, the approach is to always make that the starting point. Okay, what is this brand? How do people, even if the clients are afraid to acknowledge this, or it seems like they haven't before, how does it really fit into people's lives? And what do they really do with it? What do they really think about it? And let's start there.
Yeah.
And we try to find whatever that unspoken truth is that feels like it hasn't been said before. And it could be provocative. It could also be really simple and dumb, but just no light has been shined on that before. And it's just bringing that to light, embracing that. And when that's the centerpiece, then the idea, not even the executional idea, but the idea behind the idea is like inherently breakthrough. That in a way engineers it to get people's attention more. And then on top of that, finding the best execution that brings that to life in the most surprising and engaging way. So bringing the honesty through in that sense, in terms of being true to the product, the way we deal with clients is the same way we talk amongst ourselves, which is like establishing that honesty from the get-go in the interest of efficiency. Let's just say what we think. If you don't like something, tell us right off the bat so we don't swirl on that for weeks. We're going to bring the work that we think is right for you and the approach that we think is right, because that's what we do, and we're not going to change that. That's how we get to the best possible work. And then fostering a culture within our company around that too, so people feel like they could approach us and tell us what they think, and trying as much as possible to empower people to feel comfortable kind of speaking their hearts and minds.
Yeah. I like how you said that. You might have heard me typing. You said in the interest of efficiency. That sounds simple, but I haven't heard it said that gracefully before. Well, on that note, I wanted to come back to a question I started to ask earlier. I think you're at a cool level. You've had several years of high quality work. So you're at a kind of a unique spot where I haven't talked to many people like this. What are you guys pursuing right now? What's up for you? Or is there up? Because some people, I'll use a non-related example so that you don't have to call out anyone in the industry. I saw 50 Cent recently said, I don't need to be a billionaire. I'm happy being a millionaire because my quality of life is good right here. I don't want to push too hard because I don't know that I would be happy. I'm sure you guys could make plenty of jokes.
50 Cent is why he's a wise man.
So that's a businessman.
Yeah, exactly. We're not a businessman. We're a businessman. I think our goal isn't to build and sell kind of thing. We want to stay small.
Yeah.
I don't know what that number is of how big we are. Could probably get a little bit bigger, probably. I think we'll know when it breaks. But like ultimately the reason we did it, again, was to make stuff that we like and get excited about. And that's the whole, and work alongside good people, good clients who want to make fun work and just make stuff that people don't want to fast forward and hate. That's the goal. But there's a level, I think, again, and this is maybe ladders back to the name, it's quality meets. There's probably plenty of business that we could probably take on and just punt and do the thing that they're asking and get a decent AOR and probably grow a little bit. I think our goal is to make sure that we're enjoying it. We're enjoying the work that we're making. Everybody's enjoying the work that they're making. It feels like invested to the agency. And then at us, we're not like trying to become like mascots. If you know what I mean, we're not like figureheads who just want to float in the clouds. We like getting our hands dirty a bit and want to keep the size close enough where we can still be player coach a little bit. And I think that's the ultimate goal. And I think to your point, what's next is continuing to improve the quality of the work. Is just always just like, how can we top the work and make more fun things? And then find more clients who are just like, want the same kind of thing, find like-minded people and clients. It's the brand and the category. Yes, we targeted movie theaters because we were passionate about that and stuff like that. But in reality, we think we can make work for any category. It doesn't really matter as long as the person who has the keys behind that brand has the same kind of point of view. I think we can make something that's breakthrough and fun, maybe is new for the category or the product or whatever. And just, get to a level where we're a little bit more, the consistency is key.
Can I dig in on that? Consistency how specifically?
Of quality. So like every piece of work that we do, trying, even if it's just the ad trade or something like that, getting people's attention and getting acknowledged for being like interesting and fun for the category or the product. And ideally breaking out of our incestual advertising world, that stuff breaks through culture and creates a little bit more conversation.
Is there a way to describe that special thing? Because again, it's going to sound like I'm blowing smoke, but you guys are here. We're here to talk about you. Your stuff is funny and your stuff is fun. And if anything, your stuff is, I'll go back to Regal because that's the example I'm using. It's so fun that it opens the can a little bit. Like when I watched it, I was wondering, I thought, I bet they had fun picking on people who are saying, oh, I'll just wait for it to go to streaming. And I thought, I bet they could go much harder, but these were just the right fit of picking a little bit without overdoing it too much. What's the thing? Because obviously you guys see eye to eye creatively often enough to keep doing this well. Is there a phrase or a special thing that when you go to a project, you're like, okay, what's our thing in this? Is that making sense? So I would call it, if someone has say, well, I need to make it iconic. What's my lightsaber for this commercial to where people won't forget it? What's that one thing that pops out? Is there a certain type of conversation you guys have in each project? You're like, okay, well, we got to do our thing here. And what is that thing for this one?
I think it starts with tapping into what that unspoken truth is about the product or the category. And then serving it up in a way where it makes you question, oh, I didn't think about this product or this category like that before. That hadn't occurred to me, but it totally makes sense. Like it jives with what I already know and what I know about the category and what's real and what I encounter on a daily basis. So finding that way of making people like rethink something a little bit in a natural way, and then doing it, I think, in a way that's charming. It's not insulting to their intelligence, but it's charming. It doesn't have to be. We like doing comedy, and we do it a lot. As Quality Meets, we've done a lot of it, but it doesn't have to be that. It could be emotional. If it could be more serious even, but it needs to have that element of humanity and charm to it, even if it is emotional. Feeling grounded in some way, so that people are pulled in, but know that it doesn't take itself too seriously because it's a product trying to sell you something at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So I guess part of that is like bringing people in on it, making them feel like they're in on the joke or they're in on the story, but getting them to rethink something in a way that's not hard to rethink.
I feel like you completely honestly answered that question because that reflects the stuff that I saw on your website very well. I know that sounds corny, but it's true. It wasn't too much. It wasn't like picking on them too hard. It did feel like it brought me in on the joke without making me feel guilty. So yeah, that's fun. So do you guys, I guess that kind of connects to the honesty thing too, in a way. Maybe that's not how you would intended to connect.
Yeah, honesty is like a self-awareness where how that product fits into a consumer's life. Like it knows it's acknowledging that. It's not trying to sell you something that it isn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not selling you like Regal is the sexy movie theater. That's insane example, but it knows how it fits into your life.
Yeah. I'm going to try to get something out of you here. It'll sound a little corny because I have to read from my question, but imagine you have the chance to change history in any meaningful way, and instead you decide to use it to sit down with the younger versions of yourselves, which may not be so different from who you are today, but with your past self feeling all the pain of your successes. What would you say to your younger selves with the time machine that you just used?
I mean, part of me is like, don't do anything differently. Just go do it, because it led us to this point, and we're fortunate to have had a nice career at bigger agencies. We make a lot of work for a range of brands and not be too miserable in our personal lives. There were moments where it was tougher. But and then led us on this path where we got to create this new thing that we're proud of and bring more people into that. And hopefully they feel a part of that and a bit of that pride. So part of me is just
leave it be, man. Just go,
yeah, like just go with the gut. Go with what feels right.
Okay.
And what you like strongly believe in, and don't sacrifice that or water that down, because that's what we've done. And when we've stuck with that, it's worked.
So I've never gotten to do this before. What's maybe is I got to get a horror story out of you somehow. What's something maybe you guys almost did that you didn't do that you look back on and you go, oof, that would have hurt me, or that would have tanked me?
Right. Some of it was like when we were at Deutsch, we were entertaining, moving jobs, but we weren't doing, I don't know if when we were doing it, it was for the 100% the right reason, and we didn't do it. Ultimately stayed. That helped. There's been times where we probably had the opportunity to put on the face of a leader and politically be the head person on an account and fly out consistently and take it on the chin. And we were like, no, we're not. We don't want to do that. And that would have led to probably promotions and bigger opportunities within the bigger agencies stuff that we didn't do. And had we done that, I don't know who knows, we could have been split up. It could have been like just a different path. It led to us getting laid off in 2019, ultimately, like not taking that charge, and not like it did, like us not taking the charge of something that was to us semi-poisonous. And it, I think, in turn ultimately led to us not having a place there within the agency, because we didn't take on the account that had the big bankroll, and that would have sacrificed our life and creative hearts a bit. And by doing that, it led to our demise of being fired or laid off, or whatever. Which, in reality, had that not happened, Quality Meats might not exist. So it was a blessing in disguise. I think that, again, it is hard to say. It's a weird thing to say, oh, I have no regrets. But in some ways, I think we're here and we're happy with where we're at. So it's hard to say one thing that we regret.
Yeah. Anything from you, Brian? Any close calls or anything like that where you guys thought maybe you almost went wrong?
I think I was going to say the same thing, which was, to me, still, that was like the dodge bullet of getting off the course that we ended up on together, because there was also a bit of us being pulled apart from each other during the way that played out. And I'm thankful we made the choice to pull ourselves out of that, just because we were going down that path. It wasn't an ideal situation for us. We weren't set up to make the best work that we could. We weren't the type to play the politics and the posturing that was needed to be successful there. And so we made the choice to remove ourselves from that. And like he said, that led to our demise there, but which was ultimately a good thing. Yeah. So that, to me, that feels like a dodge bullet, because I feel like we wouldn't be on this course had we not done what we did.
Sounds like you guys have consistently valued quality of life over other things, which I appreciate because you've said you both have families. I would assume there were times where you thought about providing and coming in and clashing with some of those choices. I would guess a lot of people have that golden handcuffs thing that they have to face every few years. Take that promotion, take the bigger corporate job, maybe less autonomy.
I was just going to, part of it is the bigger agencies we were at, they just made it all harder than it had to be. There was just way more swirl for the sake of swirl, or just.
Why do you think they do that? If we could lean in, because there's probably smaller companies that start imitating that. Why do you think they make it harder? What is it that you guys do that the bigger ones don't do, where you're like, gosh, we can just create and work now without all this red tape?
No, that's a good question. I don't know what, I mean, part of it is maybe decisiveness and just on our part, like a desire not to prolong things unnecessarily. Like part of our philosophy with the whole trimming the fat and the meat is if there's anything that seems to get in the way of delivering the best possible work, like if we can simplify the process or deconstruct it in any way possible, we're going to do it. One of those things is like, we don't need a building. We don't need an office. Like an office limits us to having talent in different parts of the country. And that's important to us to have different ways of thinking and not just people in one spot.
Yeah.
So no office, but the same thing goes with like swirl. If we know we've got the nugget of the idea, there's no sense to keep pursuing or go any deeper than we need to go other than to find the best way to bring that to life. But want to get there as quickly as possible.
Does that mean once you're excited about an idea, you go, hey, we've got one. Let's start leaning in. Is that what that looks like? Or did I misunderstand?
Part of it is over time, I think we've developed an even kind of a partnership, the way that we're partners and share a brain in a certain way, a sense of being able to see quickly if there's heat behind something or not, and then measure that internally and then get to it quickly. We've always been efficient as possible with our time. We've always wanted to come in. We were never the type to like go out and take long lunches and then come back and work. We would sit and eat. I would throw like a yogurt and some granola and pretzels and string like rabbit food into a bag, and we'd sit at our desk and eat while we continued to work so that we could leave at a reasonable time and spend time with people outside of the office. So that's always been super important to us. So let's take the time we have, get the most we can possibly get done during this time. And that's the same approach we have.
And it's not so much what we do additively, it's more what we don't do. So again, I think that's eliminating the unnecessary things and layers. Try as much as we can to flatten it a bit. I think part of it, like even I like the layer factor. Oh, well, don't do that. He's the CCO or whatever. I want people to poke holes in my thoughts and make fun of me, whatever it might be. We're all in the level here. We're all like, and that's where the transparency comes too. If something rubs you, let's speak it out. Let's just efficiency. What are we doing here? Like, why are we like tiptoeing around this? If you just don't like something, say it. Just express how you feel and let's hash it out and move on. And that is like, there's not that at the bigger agencies. There's tiptoes and eggshells and layers and politicking of people who have jobs that are just smoke and mirrors a little bit. Everyone here has to be doing at all time kind of thing, like, and wear multiple hats and just kind of, we're all in this together. Let's just stick and move and get it done.
Have either of you ever bombed a pitch? Like bombed it, like one that you wanted, like to the point where you were embarrassed?
If we bombed, it wasn't because it was probably work that we liked and we just completely missed the mark as far as like our seeing eye to eye taste level and stuff like that.
So even if you bombed with confidence?
I think so. I think it's always been important to us and we've always put our faith in it. Let's do what we think is right every time.
Yeah.
Not think too hard about overthinking that, because that just sends you into a spin of, well, they're expecting this, but they also are not going there, just digesting it, putting it through our process in a responsible way, like in a way that takes into account what the brief is and achieves the goals, we think. So not irresponsible, but is what we think is the most effective way to engage people and make the work punch above its weight as much as possible.
Yeah.
Sometimes that they might not be in a state. We try to set them up, our clients up, to be ready for that. But there's times where I'm sure there's times where it hasn't hit right. But I think for the most part, we've always been confident that, okay, I think I stand behind this. Because
there's probably been times where we've been like maybe a little stubborn on small things that ended up losing us the pitch. And then we're like, we probably could have finessed that, shape-shifted that a bit to just at least get going versus not necessarily not listening, but just like being a little bit stubborn on keep it being a little too precious. But we try to absorb all the feedback and address what they're looking for in every possible ways. But in general, there comes a time when you start to death of 1,000 paper cuts, and all of a sudden the idea that we had, and they start like rounding the corners, and is this worth? Do we like it anymore?
Okay.
Did we sell something? Did we end up selling something that we're not psyched about anymore all of a sudden?
Have you guys ever backed out of something because it got changed too much by the time they wanted the product?
We usually, if it gets to that point, we try to have that heart to heart of, look, it does feel like we're hurting this now. Like this isn't what it was intended to be. And I think when we do sell something, it's important that we're all on the same page with it for as much as possible. Mm-hmm. That they're buying what we're selling and not, they don't have a different idea of that. We've gotten to points where we've had to have those conversations, and usually it goes well because they want that from us. Mm-hmm. I feel like I've been in agencies where it's, no, this is what they said, so we have to do that. No one's really stopped to say, but why are we doing that? And how is that affecting the work? And is that in the long run going to be beneficial, or just round the corners too much on this? So it doesn't matter. It's nothingness, a fart in the wind. So trying to stop and let's like slow the roll here. Let's try to get to the heart of what the problem is. If there is one, we'll find a way to fix that, or recalibrate of, no, this is what we need to be doing and accomplishing. Mm-hmm. And we can't be, it needs to be sharp still.
It's one thing to sell the idea. The other thing is like maintaining it throughout that process. Like when you sell it, okay, great. But then every step of the process, to picking the director, the type of execution, seeing it, the cat, all that stuff is just, how do we protect what we all mutually agreed on is the thing.
Yeah.
In our vision. That's the hardest part. It's like balance, it's like walking with the spoon and with the egg in your mouth, making sure that doesn't crack. And because you could easily, they're like, oh, actually, we need to do this. And then we're like, okay, you could just do it. And it ends up falling apart a little bit. And we're like, well, we sold it. Like, they're on board. But like, it's maintaining that. It's tough. And there's a lot of elements that fight that, both from their internal and outside elements. You have to have a client who's ready and willing to protect that.
I couldn't really get you on anything. Seems like you guys are doing pretty well, which is awesome. It's very helpful to hear. It's just as much of a teacher to hear all of the ways that it is working and things are going well. It doesn't always have to be like, this is bad, don't do that. It's been nice to hear how you guys choose this authenticity and quality of life and creative autonomy over a lot of these other things, be them golden handcuffs or larger accounts, like you said. So you're a very cool company to look at. So with that in mind, I would like to ask a few from you two specifically, two things. I would love to know what you would tell a filmmaker / getting into the ad industry coming out of college, and in tandem with where you think the industry is going. So like if you guys were maybe, I don't know, at grandfather stage or something, or if you have a son, daughter, nephew, anything like that, what would be that guidance that's coming from you guys with what you know now based on maybe where things are and where you think they're going?
Yeah, it's hard to speak to the future of things. I think as far as that stuff goes, it's just continuing to adapt, not predicting it in one way or another, but being flexible to adapt in different ways, maintaining that flexibility. As far as advice, I would just say, I guess what worked for us and what continues I think, to work for us, even as at this stage, is like when we were both starting out, we both sought out the people and the kind of work that we wanted to do. And we knocked down their doors and bothered them and annoyed them and harassed them until they gave us opportunities.
That's good.
And then continued to do that, found the places that was doing the work that we wanted to do, or more along the lines of the quality of work that we wanted to do, until we wanted to be that place. In terms of seeking out the opportunities, that's what's worked for us. And now it's like finding the clients that want to do the kind of work that we want to do and are coming to us for the right reasons. But it all comes down to that same thing of seeking out what you think is right and then developing your voice and your take and getting as much experience and range of experience as you can and pushing for that, because it doesn't just come to you. So finding it and just continuing to do that.
Nice. That's really good.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I think just in general, that is a very valuable lesson, is finding your people within the agency, within the client-wise. Look for the person who's doing the thing that you want to be doing and the way they're doing it, and grab onto those things. And then obviously you're going to be working with people who are doing things not the way you love, and you go along with that ride, but remember that and hold on to that and try to shed that over your time. And then as far as making work, it's just, again, I think that goes back to making things that you want, that make you feel good and excited. Don't sell something just because, this is what the toothpaste company would want, and this is the thing that will sell the commercial and forward my career, maybe, sure. But make sure, if that's the case, make sure it's something that you're like excited about, that you didn't just do it just to sell it, but it's something that you're like, oh yeah, I'm proud of that, versus, oh yeah, I did the thing that they asked, but it didn't excite me. It didn't change my mind on the toothpaste. It's hard to change people's mind on toothpaste.
Yeah. I use toothpaste too every time this comes up. So you actually just validated me a lot, because sometimes I started to feel like a jerk. I was like, I think I'm going too hard on the toothpaste, but now I have a renewed energy towards using toothpaste as an example. For anybody who wants to follow along with what you guys are up to, where would you recommend they go hang out to see your work and
Instagram and LinkedIn?
All the social.
LinkedIn, we're probably a little bit more active.
They could also hop on our website. There's work on there, but there's also a link on our website that's a virtual Google office that Gordy and I sit in all the time. Yeah, you can just click the link, and if we're there, when we're not in meetings, we're sitting in this Google office.
So like literally, like after this, we hang up here. If we don't have a meeting here, we go to a Google Hangout, which is on our website under contact. It says email us here, or
I'm following it now.
Jump in here, and that's where we live.
Or just pop into our Google office. Oh my gosh. So you'd have to ask to join.
Yeah, if you ring the doorbell. If we don't answer, don't be
awesome.
It's probably because we're in the middle of a busy thing. We try to answer it because not many people go for it, and like we applaud. Yeah. The original intent was like, clients are gonna be like, hey, can I give you some business? That hasn't been the case.
It's cool. I've never seen that before. That's a fun idea. Guys, again, I don't make you feel uncomfortable, but like a lot of the stuff you guys did seems good, right, worked. It's good momentum. It's positive. It's cool to see that authenticity is working so well. So I would say, I have to do the whole podcaster thing, but on behalf of everyone, thank you. Thank you for sharing all the stuff that you shared.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Hey everyone, I hope you enjoyed this episode with Brian and Gordy of Quality Meats. You can see the show notes and links at filmmakersinadvertising.com and listen to other episodes on Apple Podcasts, Pocket Casts, and Spotify. From Cry, a creative production and post house based in New York City, I'm Codey, and this was Filmmakers in Advertising.